just for purposes of discussion right now, Susan is withdrawing her motion. I'm withdrawing my second, and I would like to clarify that if we do go back to my motion, that the clarification that I would be recommending in this motion is that the JCC requests from the zoning enforcement officer an opinion as to the appropriateness of unlocking the gate for pedestrian ingress and egress, including but not limited to road races. So it would be clear, because the documents I've seen, right, in writing with a response to that specific question from Terry. Anyway, that's just for clarification.
So I'm not sure the proper procedure to do this, but
we can keep the gate closed. We built the fence right around 2011, trying to engender goodwill, trying to discourage people from walking in and out. But we can
Speak a little closer to the microphone.
We can keep the gate where it is and locked, and we can remove some or all of the fence and reroute our race around the fence.
Around the gate.
Around the gate,
Yeah.
thank you. If that's what people are more inclined, then you don't need to make a decision about the gate, and that's not our preference, but that's something that we can and will do. So I guess we formally propose that we would do that.
So you will change the race as it had been proposed, but you'll be going around the gate.
Yes.
Okay.
On our property.
Yep. All right. I'm sorry. Sure.
So, just so you understand, I think that would remove it from our issue, and we're not against the race. I don't know if that means the neighbors or neighborhood won't challenge you still as far as the use of the permit. It would remove the situation of having to open the emergency gate, which certainly in my mind is a big issue here. Going around it would do that and at least suffice for this year for my sake. It doesn't mean it's going to suffice for the neighborhood or that the neighborhood won't challenge you, and I want you to know that. What we're talking about here is to give you permission for the race. We're not talking about changing permits or giving you some kind of authorization that we don't have.
That's what we're trying
because we can't do that.
That's what we're trying to avoid as well. Trying to give.
Okay.
We're sensitive to what you said. We're trying to come up with a resolution.
All right. I will make that motion that we approve the road race as it has been conducted in the past, but you will not unlock the emergency gate. Instead, you will go around the gate on JCC property without going on anyone else's private property. Is there a second? Okay. Any further questions or discussion? If not, all those in favor? Aye. Anyone opposed? None opposed. Okay. Good.
thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you for the time.
I think they do
You don't want to do these in conjunction with each other. The funding request and the fire
Okay.
department radio thing.
Okay. If you don't mind, take. Okay. Okay. We are now at items. We're at items 7 and 8. Tony has asked that we look at them together. So, if you will, these are funding requests, and they include the fire department request to relocate the radio antenna and funding for that, and the police department request for mobile radios. Let's see, Tony. The first one would be the.
So the funding request for the moving of the radio emergency communications equipment from 125 Bradley Road to 21 Bradley Road.
Yes.
That's the funding request. That's
Okay.
for the. We discussed it at the July meeting.
Right.
Do you remember? And you approved that. So this is the purchasing and the funding of that move. And the purchasing would be to use a state contract to Motorola. It's a state contract to purchase the equipment and the relocation of the equipment, and then the funding request is to transfer the funds of $27,687.67 for that purpose. So sort of two things there.
So Tony, we want to approve line item transfer 1617-01.
Right.
In the amount of $27,687.67.
Correct.
To purchase the equipment for moving the equipment. Do you want both motions at the same time?
No, do them separately.
Okay, I'll make that motion.
I'll second it.
Okay.
I
Is
have,
there a question?
Yes.
Yeah.
This is not the radio equipment that they're buying, right?
No,
This is just the transfer.
This is
the tower.
The tower, yeah.
This is to move from a place where we're paying rent to a place where we won't pay rent.
Okay.
In the
got it.
process, there are some things that are going to be moved, some things that are going to be replaced, and so that's what this is for.
I just-
Correct, going to Coachman's, right.
I believe we approved this lease.
Correct.
We did.
Yeah,
the
we need a
radio-
new survey.
I think we did too, right?
Right, I did.
fund balance.
I
Does
can explain
mean-
that, yeah. This is
versus-
our-
That's not contingency.
No,
that's
no, and
something
these are,
else.
and it's not general fund balance, it's from a capital non-recurring fund.
Okay.
As we close projects, they have a balance on them. There's some capital funds remaining, and that's where this is from.
Okay.
So it's not general fund balance, just so we're all clear on that.
Okay, great.
Okay, we had a second, right?
Yep.
Yep, you have the second, Jody? Okay. Any other questions or discussion? If not, all those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Now, the second thing is purchasing the equipment off the state contract.
Correct.
Okay, now with respect to this purchase of equipment, I will make a motion that the fire department be authorized to purchase the equipment, material, and labor of state contract 14 PSX 0073. Is there a second?
Second.
Any questions or discussion?
This is still the equipment that,
That's-
okay, great.
Same thing.
All right, thank you.
Anything else? If not, all those in favor?
Aye.
Anyone opposed? Okay. Next, we have a request from the police department to purchase 15 replacement mobile radios from Northeast Communications. And for this, they would like to use the State of Connecticut Master Contract A99-001 through Motorola Solutions, and I will make the motion that we approve that request. Is there a second?
Second.
I just want to clarify that the state, for all their radio communications, use these contracts. So they buy thousands and thousands and thousands of radios. So we're just,
Then
We're
we
doing
have a good
well.
price.
we're getting at a good price, right?
Good
And we
deal.
discussed this already.
Right, we did, yeah.
Can I just ask the question of those of you who are on the radio committee? I'm calling it the radio committee, I'm not sure the name of it, but you know who you are. Has this been something that you've discussed or been part of your discussion in any way?
Police?
Yeah, these particular.
No, these are mobile radios that were in the
Okay,
budget.
so there's no, you're only discussing the actual radio, the new radio system possibility between the police, fire, public
That's
works.
different, that's a
Coverage.
different.
But nothing to do about any other radio system, just that one system? Okay,
Right.
great.
These are the handhelds that they
Yes,
didn't discuss.
I just want to make sure it's not under
We've
their
talked
privy.
about this.
Yeah.
Okay, anything else? If not, all those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Anyone opposed?
Excuse me, I did not hear who seconded that.
I seconded it.
I moved it. Okay, we're at item number 9, Country Club of Woodbridge update. Okay, the first item under that is Billy Casper Golf. Tony has begun talking with Ryan Phelps at Billy Casper about winding down and next steps. So, and there's one action item that's been requested. I don't, Tony, do you want to speak?
Certainly. We've been discussing a number of the items that we need to work together on in order to wind down the process of the contract. And there's a whole list of items. The one most important one to them, and the one I wanted to bring to your, specifically bring to your attention, is that when they start to advertise to finish up their season, they're going to advertise that the Woodbridge course is closing, and that this may be your last chance to play golf there. May not be, but that's sort of the advertising that they want to use, and they just want to be comfortable that they're going to be having that out there.
In those exact words?
Well, they haven't put the artwork together, but the essential, the message will be that the Billy Casper Golf, that is no longer going to be there, that the course is closing, and that you may not be able to play another round. It's just sort of a marketing thing
Just to promote play till the end of their...
to promote play till the end of their contract.
Okay.
Yeah, someone forwarded me a copy copy of something that had gone out to current members or something, Play Next Year. And I,
From there.
yeah, I actually
From
brought
the
it.
past?
Yeah, and brought it, because I found it,
Was it recent?
yeah. It just was emailed out to someone last week while I was on vacation, so I didn't have a chance to talk to anybody about it. It's Roger. He
Fall membership, August to October.
But they're not
Doesn't say anything about next year.
They're not saying that it's,
Do you see anything about next year?
Can you read it? I mean, it's
Just
not,
the-
Memberships are still available. I don't know, I guess perhaps it's not
I
clear.
think it's for
It's
the
just
end of the
through the end of the
year.
Through the end of the year.
I've seen it. I haven't.
Okay, fall membership, there
Correct,
you
it's
go.
for fall
Okay,
membership,
August,
reduced
October,
prices.
okay.
so that they want to use the fact of the golf course closing to further pressure people to get in there now, is that?
Well, to
Yeah, it was just
try to-
kinda,
It's not too late to
Okay.
get a.
It seems like,
Okay.
Right,
it
right.
says August, October.
Yeah,
okay.
it's not too late.
August to October.
okay.
I can't
So
go
they're
on
already
vacation.
doing that, I don't know that they
Share my
need.
glasses.
Well, they're not saying on there that there's no golf next year.
Right.
Yeah, there's nothing, it's kind of,
They're going to communicate to their members that there's going to be no golf next year.
that's coming next,
Well,
what you're saying.
Right.
Okay.
that's what
That's what they
and
like to do.
they're asking, you know, they've been very good partners in this, so they're, yeah. So,
They're letting us know.
I'm sorry?
I mean, they're putting it out there. It's not
Yeah.
a secret.
Right, right, and they're asking that it's okay with the board.
Yeah, we're not contemplating bringing somebody else in and that we're gonna need that play at our course.
Right.
So if they wanna advertise that they're going elsewhere or will be handling courses elsewhere, I don't see a problem.
I think it reflects reality.
You want to make a motion,
Okay.
Tony?
Why would we need a
Sure,
motion?
I'll make
Or
the
do you think,
motion.
you think we can just tell them it's the sense of the,
I don't think it's something,
I don't think you
I think they're just letting us know that
It just
they're gonna do it unless we have a problem.
unless you have a
Well,
problem with it.
right,
That
okay.
was essentially.
all right, so is there anyone object to,
What's that?
anyone object to Billy Casper?
Letting people know
Doing
they're
that?
not gonna be there.
No? Okay, so,
I think
It's
the
fine.
wording is important. I don't want it to think that, you know, the land may not be used for golf anymore. I don't want that.
Well, not under their.
Well, not for Billy
authority.
Casper.
Not under them, but,
Right.
you know, maybe it could be said nicely. Because, I mean, the land may be used for golf, and I don't want the possibility to, you know, cut that off.
well, do you want to ask them to,
I understand what Maria's saying.
Yeah.
But if that's the case,
Yeah.
it's gonna be a whole new company with a whole new golf course.
No, I know.
With their own
But-
branding
I know,
and their
but
own marketing.
They could just say that they're not managing
We can
Woodbridge
always
Golf
just say,
Course.
stay tuned.
Yeah. Stay
Okay.
tuned.
I can give
and-
them that message.
and, you know, and maybe ask them to send it.
Yeah.
So you can take a look at it.
Yeah, okay.
Okay?
Send
Sure.
it before we approve it.
Of course, that's a fair point.
Okay.
Okay, Toll Brothers sent a letter, which I'd like to read for the record, to Tony. If you don't mind, Tony, I'm going to read the letter that was sent
Yeah.
to you by Toll Brothers.
Right.
After attending the July 27th special meeting of the Board of Selectmen, it is clear that there is a passionate interest among some of the Woodbridge townspeople in considering a proposal that maintains golf on the Country Club of Woodbridge property. Furthermore, it is my understanding that the Board of Selectmen voted at their August 1st meeting to suspend negotiations with Toll for the time being and further pursue the Redan Reserve golf proposal. While we believe that our revised proposal dated July 11, 2015 to purchase a portion of the Country Club of Woodbridge remains the best choice for the town of Woodbridge, we understand and respect the wishes of the townspeople and the Board of Selectmen. If for whatever reason the Redan Reserve proposal does not come to fruition, we would be happy to reopen discussions with the town of Woodbridge at any point in time in the future. So I wanted to let you know that that was what they had told us, and that's their position on that. With respect to Redan Reserve, Tony and I met with Roland Betts and Ed Brockner, and we conveyed the negotiating issues that we had discussed in executive session with them. I also facilitated a meeting with Roland Betts and Mayor Harp so that they could start talking about the city issues, which I think is very important in this. And I'm hoping to get an update on the status of negotiations with Yale in the near future, but I don't have that at this time. There have been vacations in between. Once we get that from Roland Betts, I would contemplate that we reconvene an executive session to talk about next steps and whatever information I have to bring back on that. And with respect to conversion to open space, Tony has been starting to work on the Board of Selectmen request that he explore the options and costs for conversion to open space. And it's, of course, a bigger job than we contemplate in the beginning. Do you want to just talk a little bit about
I
what you're
could.
looking at, Tony?
So several of the items that I'm looking at and include, obviously, things we've discussed, like the pool and the buildings near the pool, and what kind of capital improvement plan is necessary there. The ultimate fate of the clubhouse. I know you've been presented with several options for the clubhouse, so that's something. There are other buildings on the property which most likely would have to be removed if there is no use for those. Includes the maintenance facility, the halfway house, and some other items. So there's a cost there. The cart paths. So the cart paths can be approached in several ways. Either so you have to decide how you want to approach the cart paths and whether you want to use them or not. The environmental remediation, we discussed talked a lot about that. The irrigation system, the tennis courts. There's some decommissioning of the facilities that we would have to do. And finally, and the one that may require the biggest amount of discussion, is that what is the plan or the use for the property in terms of the public, and that would, in the large part, will drive what type of maintenance is required by the town. In other words, are you going to have certain sections that grow, others you might want to manicure, do you want walking trails, do you not want walking trails, that sort of thing. Well, in a large part will depend on what type of town maintenance would be required. So a plan there would be very helpful, I think. So these are a lot of the issues that exist.
So I think at this point, we're going to have to look at different options, because we're sort of going to be on parallel tracks to be looking at
Yeah.
what we might consider, what the costs are, short-term, long-term. Some of it depends on what happens with Redan and when, and it's hard to know, but
Right.
important to get
Some are
started.
short-term and some are longer-term.
Any questions for Tony?
So you don't have any
There's
numbers.
Each one has a decision tree, sort of, about what you want to do
So
and how
no
you want
numbers
to approach
yet.
it.
Is
Correct.
there anything?
But it sounds like a lot, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
Is there anything on this list that is impacted by Billy Casper leaving, for
Yes.
example, that we have to commit to, or we have to think
Yes.
about?
Yes. The
budget?
Billy Casper leaving.
Yeah.
One would be the decommissioning of the facilities and the
Right.
assets within those facilities, and what exactly sort of ties into the discussion with Billy
I
Casper.
was thinking about like the
But-
irrigation system and stuff. What do you? I mean,
so the assets in the system, and we own what they own, and
right.
what we want to do with those assets. Do we want to sell them? And there's for instance, we just put in some irrigation pumps a few years ago. They were $20,000 approximately for one. So
We have machinery.
there's machinery,
You
there's
have to
golf
blow out the
equipment.
irrigation system with
Do
air
you
We
to
blow out
get
the
rid of the
irrigation
water.
system? Do you winterize it?
we own those golf
These are
carts,
all-
I think, or something.
Those
Do we
go-
own
No, those are leased,
We don't.
but
Those are
the
leased, yeah.
equipment we
Leased.
bought.
Okay.
We own the
We
equipment.
own the,
Maintenance
okay, right, all the
equipment.
mowing stuff,
Like
right.
mowing and
There's
stuff like that.
ball
Wow.
markers, tees.
Okay.
Gina's sitting
Okay.
there just thinking about that.
We can auction. We may be able to,
Yeah.
ball washers. There's all kinds of equipment all around the course.
Exactly.
Right, right.
So the
That
other
we'd have to
thing,
inventory and then decide what we want to do with. That's the very short term one.
I think it would help too, I think we should clarify for the public, because I've heard this question asked a few times, and I believe Recreation has, even within themselves, tried to figure it out. I think, if I'm not mistaken, we as a group have not made any decision about the pool club part of the property for next year at this point. There hasn't been a decision made. There's been some small conversations that have taken place. But I think, some people in town think that we're closing the property officially as of December 31st. And I think we didn't make a final decision on the pool. It was strictly on the golf operations. If I'm wrong, correct me, but I just wanted to put that out there.
Yeah.
That's absolutely correct as far as I understand it. And we had talked, I believe, when we approved the pool for this year, that we would review it again at the end of the season and
Right.
take a look at it. And there's been no discussion about what happens with the
We're
pool.
putting together financials on that, and then when the season's finished, we'll present those.
All right,
Thank you.
good.
Okay.
Backing up on Redan, who is negotiating for the town?
Well, as I mentioned last time, right now, we've had meetings with Redan that include Tony and me and Jerry Weiner and Andy Esposito. I think what we need to do is see if we can get to the basic terms of an agreement. I know Tom Weil has made some really interesting
I know.
points. I've met with him to talk about some of those. And, you know, at some point, we will be, I should say we will be, you know, we just, at this time, we don't know how certain this is because we don't know where Yale is. And if Yale is not part of this deal, obviously it's not happening. So I don't think we should get ahead of ourselves. But just as we've done with other projects, once we have the outline of a deal that the Board of Selectmen approves, we would use outside counsel for the,
Okay,
with the contract.
I just want to make sure.
Yeah.
What time frame? Do we have any time frame goals for this thing? Because I know that people, I mean, at least they were in a hurry.
yeah, well, we're waiting to hear from them about their discussions with Yale. And as I said, people have been on vacation and we're hoping to hear soon, but I can't speak more specifically. But they are feeling time pressure and would like to move ahead, but, you know, we're waiting to hear from
They certainly have every
them.
incentive to move quickly, but we don't control that.
Correct.
At this point.
Anything else? Okay. Item 10 is the Ordinance Committee report and recommendation. The Ordinance Committee met yesterday, and we voted unanimously to repeal the Country Club of Woodbridge ordinance and to recommend that repeal to this board. Just so people are clear about process, if the Board of Selectmen agrees with that recommendation, the next step is to schedule a public hearing. This today is not, certainly not the only opportunity or the main opportunity for people to opine about it. So that's the recommendation. We felt that given the termination of golf operations, it was certainly appropriate to terminate the Golf Commission. In addition, you know, once we had renegotiated the contract with Billy Casper Golf, where Billy Casper took the risk of golf operations, the Golf Commission had said to us at the time that they didn't feel they really had a vital role at all. They were very disappointed at that time. So, and also we sent this to them this morning. I haven't heard from anyone. I open to Susan and Joe. Do you want to add anything about the thinking on that? Anything else you want to add, Susan?
No, not really. If there's any question.
Well,
Sure.
why are we doing this now?
Yeah, can you speak up? Oh.
I said, why do we have to do it now when there's a few more months to go? And then if in fact, I don't know when these negotiations will happen or will finish. I mean, don't you think this property should be looked over? I mean, that there should be some.
Well, they're,
Let her finish the question.
Don't you think someone should be there to look out for the property at least?
Well, that's not really their job to look out for the property. Susan, did you?
no, I was just going to say that it's not as if by repealing this ordinance, it means suddenly there's no oversight.
Oh,
Clearly,
so
the
that's
Board of
what it is,
Selectmen and Tony, in terms of the wind down process, we would then be the hands-on people,
Okay.
as opposed to having the intervening board or the intervening
I see
commission.
what you're-
So it's not like anybody's walking away.
Right.
So correct
Or
me
it's
if-
going to be neglected.
Correct.
Correct me if I'm wrong, but this process doesn't happen overnight either. There's
We
a
have to have a
town
public
meeting,
hearing.
right, so this wouldn't
Just
necessarily mean they're disbanded as of tonight. This
Yeah.
is the start of the process to do it.
Oh, I
But
see.
it would take a while, probably a month or two at least, before everything is said and done. Is that correct?
Well,
Is that
it
the
would-
way you see it?
It would, what I would recommend is that if the board votes to go along with the recommendation of the ordinance committee, that we schedule a public hearing. We're required to schedule a public hearing, and I would recommend that we do it at the time of our next meeting, which is September 14th, I believe. We would have the public hearing at that time, and nothing happens until after the public hearing. So it's 3 weeks.
There's an interim publication that we have.
Yes,
Just so-
absolutely, and
But
right, we would
I
ask-
wanted to mention to Maria that in terms of overseeing the property, per the ordinance, the charge of the commission is to be the agent of the board in matters related to operation, maintenance, and management of the Country Club of Woodbridge
Okay.
and its golf operation. So without any real golf operations as of like November 15th, they're telling us
There's really
basically.
nothing.
The thought is there's really no reason for us to have an agent. We can do that ourselves. Tony's already engaged with Billy Casper with this workout in terms of,
Winding
managing the
down.
transition and winding
Okay.
it down, so.
Got it.
Makes sense.
Makes sense.
And there's another reason I think it's appropriate to do it now. It's come to my attention that the chairman of the Golf Commission, who has some kind of realty company, I guess, is writing to area golf courses asking them to make proposals to the town about the country club. And certainly, as a private individual, he's entitled to do that, but I think it would eliminate any confusion that he's speaking for the town as our agent, which is, a very dangerous precedent, and it would take care of that as well. So I think that makes it time sensitive. So with that said, someone like to make the motion that the Board of Selectmen accept the recommendation of the Ordinance Committee to repeal Article 17, Sections 75 through 87 through 7590 of the Code of Ordinances of the Town of Woodbridge, entitled Country Club of Woodbridge Commission.
I'll make that motion.
And I'll second it. Do we also have to then schedule a public hearing as part of the motion?
We could do it
Yeah,
in
we
the
schedule
same
a
motion.
public
Okay,
hearing
and schedule a
on-
public hearing for September 14th
Yeah.
at,
It's a regular meeting.
I want to do it at 6 o'clock. Why don't we do it at 6? I mean, we can start our meeting at 5, but have the public hearing at 6, so no question.
Any comments after that?
Or we get a public comment before or after.
Can I
6
ask a
o'clock?
question? Does it
Sure.
have to be noticed in the newspaper in a
Yes.
certain amount of time?
Yes, and-
And that allows you enough time?
It's like 11
Yes.
days prior.
Okay,
She gets just.
okay.
Yes.
I'm sorry.
So that's September 14th.
Okay.
Well, I guess maybe, do we need to say the time now, Jerry? Okay, 6 o'clock. Okay.
Second. So moved.
So, no, Joe made the motion.
Oh, second.
You seconded.
Okay.
It's clear? Jerry, you're clear? All right. Any other questions or discussion on that? If not, all those in favor?
Aye.
Anyone opposed? Okay, thank you. Okay, number 11 is the town clerk's report, and you will note that we have the year-end report for fiscal year 15-16, and we have the first month of the new year, which is in a new format that I believe was mandated by the state. So you'll see it looks different, but we're getting the information in that way, and I will move acknowledgement of these two reports from our town clerk.
I'll second.
Any
And
questions or?
I just want to make a comment. This is nice and legible, and I appreciate it. I know it's done mandated by the state, but thank you for, the town clerk, they prepare this.
They did.
Even though it's mandated. I
Yes,
love it.
and also, it was very helpful that Stephanie noted for us,
Yes.
of the total amount we take in, how much of it goes to the state and how little the
Exactly.
town retains.
Very helpful.
Just so you see.
And it's a bigger print.
Hey,
it's
thank
bigger
you.
print.
I know. This is like ant writing. I just can't read it.
Okay, all those in favor?
Aye.
Anyone opposed?
It's the-
And finally, number 12 on the agenda is the appointment of Terry Gilbertson as our zoning and inland wetlands enforcement officer. Those are two separate. Zoning enforcement officer, inland wetlands enforcement officer, and anti-blight enforcement officer, all of which to be extended to June 30, 2018. These appointments had expired on June 30, 2016, but they continue until some action is taken by the board. There was a decision some years ago to try to have all of the expirations of these appointments be at the same time. So the building official appointment expires on June 30, 2018, and this would bring them in line with that. So I will make the motion that we reappoint Terry Gilbertson as zoning enforcement officer, inland wetlands enforcement officer, and anti-blight enforcement officer, all to expire on June 30, 2018. Is there a second?
Second.
Any questions or discussion?
These are all 2-year appointments. I know some of these appointments, not these three. but-
Building might be 4 years, and that's
Oh,
why it was
okay.
moved.
A little bit
to-
off?
I have to think so. I'm
Okay.
not sure about that.
All
but I
right,
think so.
we can check that out.
Okay, any questions or discussion?
Can I make a comment?
Yes.
Terry has been very helpful to me personally over the years. I have some concerns about people that have called me up and said that they're not happy with some of the things that have happened, and they're in the office, and they're not comfortable with some of the responses. And I've asked them to bring it forward, and they will not because they're afraid of an approval or something like that. So I have to take their word for it, and I just wanted to make that comment. So unfortunately, I'm going to vote no.
Anyone else?
My apologies, but.
I have the same situation. Many people come up to me and certain things, and
Can you speak up, Maria?
I said, I also, I feel the same way. I have had numerous complaints come up to me, and they won't come forward either, but I will have to vote no.
Well, it's certainly a difficult situation if people, have concerns and don't
I
make them
know.
public.
It's
and
very hard because
very hard.
I've had nothing but good relationships, and he's been very helpful to me personally, but.
Well, people will make their own decisions.
Yep.
So can I just ask a question? I mean, that being said, our options would be what? To name somebody different to the enforcement officer? Because it doesn't change his job. We're two different things here. These are the enforcement officer ends of it, doing the enforcement of his job, or of the commissions. But I'm just wondering what would be an alternative? Somebody else in the department? Where do we go if that was the case?
Maybe you want to ask Maria or
I don't know
Beth.
if
can
anybody
answer
knows.
that.
I don't know the answer to
I
that.
don't know, maybe put out a search, I don't know.
I'd
I'm
be
just
happy
wondering
to
what-
talk to Terry in the office and without, mentioning names. I don't know if that's possible to do about some of the things that have come up to me personally. Am I allowed to
Well,
do
if you,
that?
yes, of course,
I
if you
don't
have
know.
concerns, you're free to
And,
meet with Tim.
I can do the same.
And I guess I would suggest that if people have concerns, it would be a good practice to meet with Terry and talk to him about it.
I've encouraged them
rather
to do
than
so. I know.
wait till this point. So, anything else on that? If not, all those in favor? Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion passes. Is there a motion to adjourn?
So moved to adjourn.
All those in favor? Thank you very much.
Discussion on the agenda?